It has been approximately 18 hours since the start of the special military operation to remove the IRGC and its leaders. After the decapitation strikes in Tehran and across Iran, removing the Ayatollah and all key leaders, other targets were attacked as well, basically diminishing the IRGC's ability to respond. That said, they were successful in responding in a limited degree, as in 98% of all the missiles and drones were intercepted, but the 2% that did get through did cause some damage across the region in unexpected ways. There's video of at least one strike on a U.S. base in Bahrain. There is reports of another strike in Erbil, Iraq, on a U.S. facility. Qatar has intercepted pretty much all of the missiles from Iran and has stated they reserve their right to retaliate if they decide to do so. On top of that, civilian locations were struck in other places like Dubai. Now, this is a still screen grab of a video playing on X of celebrations across the world. That was a reaction from the average civilian and average Iranian diaspora that is dispersed throughout the world that can't wait to get their country back. And the reaction from world leaders is a bit mixed, as the surrounding nations that were attacked by Iran condemned the attacks, even though the IRGC tried to state that they only had to attack the American bases in their countries and attempted a sort of apology. That apology was not accepted. And what I meant by mixed reaction by leaders is you also have like Western powers like the UK coming out and stating that they while they loathe the IRGC, they absolutely think it's an abhorrent regime. They also took no part in this action, and they believe in the international rules-based order. I'm sure other Western leaders have said something similar, I'm assuming at this point. And then you have like Russia and China coming out, and of course they're going to condemn it because that's their ally. That's another ally they're going to lose. And like I said, the Ayatollah has been eliminated, and a ton of people have been posting about this, so I'm sure you've already heard about it. President Trump even made an announcement about it, and in this post, he talks about the regular military, elements of the IRGC, and the people stand up, and the police stand up together to take their country back. And so this is identifying the fact that Trump wants a ground-swelled, grassroots movement to establish a government by and for the people. I'm sure there will be influence from Israel, Mossad, and other U.S. elements, but this is how he wants the transition from the IRGC to a government by the people to take place. And to all those World War III fearmongers that are trying to play this out like it's a game of Risk on a game board, stating that these countries will align here and these countries will align there, that is actually not what is unfolding. In fact, what is unfolding is basically a containment strategy that all of these countries are playing along with. And basically what that means is that the U.S. and Israel set up a massive fortified defensive capability, and they're basically allowing the IRGC to blow off as many rockets as they have, while also being destroyed and targeted and destroyed by U.S. collections and targeting cycle to further degrade their capabilities to launch missiles. And once the IRGC has been depleted of their capability to conduct any kind of offensive operations, then the follow-on transition will commence. The reason why these surrounding countries are going to support that is because they like stability, and more importantly, they like money. So even though it was reported earlier in the day that Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, which would have a global ripple effect on the economy because 20% of the world's oil flows through the strait, this was a snapshot of the Strait of Hormuz about 10 minutes ago. So I don't think it's closed. Now, the implications of this being closed would cause a substantial ripple effect throughout the economy. Prices will go up, disruptions, all those things will occur. But eventually, the U.S. will be able to reopen it if that indeed happens. We have our Fifth Fleet in the area. We have a substantial presence. We know what we're doing. We've been training for this for over 20 years. And because we know that that's one of the wild cards that the IRGC will pull, we have likely struck all of the necessary targets needed in order to stop them from closing the strait in the first place. Now, what are the global implications for the fall of the IRGC and the likelihood that Iran will turn away from their former allies, Russia and China? First up, let's just get Russia out of the way. They basically have lost a key strategic ally that was able to supply them Shahed drones and support them in other minor ways. And as you have well noticed, Putin did not come to the aid of Iran, not because he didn't want to, it's because he can't. But the greater implication here is that of China, because if the Strait of Hormuz largely becomes under the control of Western powers, not only will that stabilize the flow and no longer be perceived as a potential threat from the IRGC, but 20% of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. 10% of that goes right to China. And in fact, the actions of the Trump administration over the last 2 months have greatly affected China's capabilities to import oil, because they got about 4 to 5% from Venezuela, and they got about 15% from from Iran, and basically that is causing China to have a double take on their approach to the global order. And while Trump's message to the world about why we did this to Iran is because they can never have a nuclear weapon, they need to stop with their ballistic missile program, they need to stop with their being the world's state sponsor of terror, with promoting all of their proxies. Those are all the three main reasons. The hidden reason, what I argue is probably the real reason, is that they are attempting with a longer grand strategy to hamstring China. And the reason for this is because China has basically put the West in an awkward position where we have to treat their threats towards Taiwan, the risk of them taking Taiwan, as a certainty. And we have a short time window to ensure that we have curtailed Xi Jinping's decision-making calculus enough to where he actually never decides to try and take Taiwan, because we will have proven to him that it would have been the worst decision ever made in history. And so this is part of a much larger strategy that all of these countries are basically on board with because, again, they like money. I'm the Intel Guy, and thank you to all my new followers. I really appreciate everyone's support on my content, and you can find my content on other channels like X, same name, or YouTube, link in bio. I am posting there more often, as TikTok is trash. So I still post here because they're videos. You can make them very easily and post very frequently, but the engagement or the ability to reach large audiences is deliberately being curtailed, and it's just extremely annoying. So, but I appreciate all your support. Remember to like, comment, share, please share, follow, and have a good day.